not human. What am I?
You know, when it comes to fantasy shows, the spotlight usually falls on the big names like Game of Thrones or The Witcher. But hidden underneath all that hype are some absolute gems that never really got the attention they deserve. Welcome to Binge Watch with Sidz. Today, we will cover the 10 underrated fantasy series. Number 10, The Shannara Chronicles, 2016.
Stand a chance. There are dark days ahead.
We have to go!
The four lands...
Kicking off our list is The Shannara Chronicles, a series that honestly doesn't get nearly enough love. This show is magical, dark, and absolutely binge-worthy. You know, the kind of fantasy you turn on just to check out an episode and suddenly it's 3 a.m. and you're completely hooked. What makes it stand out is the setting. Instead of going with the usual medieval backdrop, it drops us into a lush, post-apocalyptic world where magic has reawakened and ancient evils are clawing their way back. It's based on Terry Brooks's beloved novels and follows a young half-elf, a rogue human, and an elven princess on a dangerous quest to save the four lands from a demon invasion. Visually, it's stunning. You've got druids, elves, enchanted artifacts, all the classic fantasy ingredients, but blended with a fast-paced modern style that keeps it exciting. Sure, it only lasted 2 seasons, but those episodes were packed with adventure, political intrigue, and emotional stakes that really stick with you. Personally, I think if you're into shows that mix enchanted forests, cursed bloodlines, and high-stakes magic, this is one of those hidden gems worth dusting off and giving a shot. Number 9, Domina, 2021.
This isn't about protecting boys. It's about power.
At number 9, we've got Domina, streaming on MGM+, and let me tell you, this isn't your typical Roman epic. Forget the stories about emperors and mighty generals. This show hands the spotlight to Livia Drusilla, the brilliant and ruthless wife of Augustus, who became one of the most powerful women in Roman history. What I love about Domina is how it flips the script. Instead of endless battles and long political speeches, we see the empire through Livia's eyes, her struggles, her strategies, and her rise from exile all the way to empress. The series dives deep into palace intrigue, messy arranged marriages, and those deadly power games that shaped the early Roman Empire. It's visually stunning, dripping with political tension, and honestly feels like a Roman version of Game of Thrones, only with a sharper focus on gender, power dynamics, and betrayal. Personally, I think Livia Drusilla is one of the most fascinating characters ever put to screen in this setting, and Domina really brings her story to life. Number 8, Lockwood Company, 2023.
Now we're gonna die. There are ghosts, there's us, and it is kill or be killed.
Coming in at number 8 is Lockwood Company, streaming on Netflix, and honestly, this show deserved way more love than it got. Imagine an alternate London where the streets are crawling with deadly ghosts, and the only people who can actually sense and fight them are teenagers. Sounds wild, right? That's where Lucy Carlisle steps in, a gifted young psychic who joins forces with Anthony Lockwood, the ambitious and mysterious leader of a small, rogue ghost hunting agency. Alongside their researcher, George, the trio faces everything from haunted relics to shady government conspiracies, all while being haunted, literally and emotionally, by their own pasts. What I really enjoyed about Lockwood Company is the vibe. It's creepy and atmospheric, but it also has this sharp wit and banter between the leads that makes you root for them instantly. Add in a killer goth rock soundtrack, and you've got a show that feels like a mix of Stranger Things and Sherlock Holmes. Sadly, Netflix pulled the plug after just 1 season, which honestly was a huge mistake. But even with those few episodes, it's a ride absolutely worth taking if you love supernatural mysteries. Number 7, Shadow and Bone, 2021.
If it goes wrong,
I'll find my way back to you.
At number 7, we've got Shadow and Bone streaming on Netflix, and if you're into epic world building, this one's a treat. Set in the Grishaverse, it's sweeping fantasy tale where politics, magic, and destiny all collide. The story centers on Alina Starkov, a seemingly ordinary cartographer who discovers she's actually the legendary Sun Summoner, the only person powerful enough to destroy the ominous Shadowfold that divides the land of Ravka. Watching her go from humble beginnings to someone entangled in court intrigue, dangerous prophecies, and the pull of the mysterious Darkling is honestly such a compelling journey. And while Alina's story is front and center, I can't forget about the Crows. This group of clever, streetwise criminals takes on their own high-stakes missions, and their arcs bring a whole new energy to the series. For me, their storylines were just as addictive as the main plot, with rich lore, gorgeous visuals, and a stellar cast, including Jessie May Lee and Ben Barnes. Shadow and Bone really struck a balance between epic fantasy and heist-style drama. It's a shame Netflix canceled it after just 2 seasons because I think the world still had so much more to give. If you're a fan of The Witcher or His Dark Materials, this one will feel right at home on your watch list. Number 6, The Magicians 2015. At number 6, we have The Magician streaming on Tubi, and let me tell you, this show is a wild ride. If I had to describe it, I'd say it feels like Harry Potter grew up, went to grad school, and then stumbled headfirst into Narnia, but with way more darkness, sarcasm, and unpredictability. Based on Lev Grossman's best-selling novels, the story follows Quentin Coldwater, a brilliant but introverted student who suddenly discovers that magic isn't just real, it's also incredibly dangerous. He enrolls at Brakebills University, a secret school for magical pedagogy, and soon finds himself and his friends unlocking terrifying powers while also opening a portal to Fillory. That's a magical world from their childhood books, only it turns out to be much darker than they ever imagined. What really makes The Magician stand out for me is how it doesn't shy away from heavy themes. It dives into trauma, identity, friendship, and even the cost of power, all while throwing in gods, monsters, and time loops that will bend your brain. Across its 5 seasons, the show delivered clever storytelling, bold twists, and emotional gut punches I honestly didn't see coming. Personally, I think The Magicians is one of those underrated fantasy gems that pushes boundaries and refuses to play it safe. And that is exactly what makes it unforgettable. Number 5, Carnival Row 2019.
Stand in the way of what is coming. They or human.
Sliding into number 5, we have Carnival Row, a fantasy series that feels like stepping into a gritty Victorian-era world. Only this one is crawling with mythical creatures and buried in secrets. It's dark, stylish, and layered with themes that hit surprisingly close to home. Orlando Bloom stars as Philo, a half-fae detective caught up in a chilling string of murders tied to dark magic and conspiracies that run deeper than anyone expects. On the other side, you've got Vignette, played by Cara Delevingne, a fierce fairy torn between fighting for her people and dealing with an old flame she thought she left behind. The chemistry and tension between them? It adds so much to the story. What I personally love about Carnival Row is how it mixes genres. You've got steampunk aesthetics, political intrigue, and a strong social allegory that digs into immigration, racism, and class divides, all wrapped in a fantasy package. It doesn't just look pretty, it makes you think. With its sweeping world-building, eerie mystery, and high-stakes rebellion, the series builds to a revolution that could reshape the fate of everyone in the row. It's moody, visually stunning, and sharp in its storytelling. Honestly, one of those shows that proves fantasy can be both entertaining and thought-provoking. Number 4, A Discovery of Witches, 2018.
She'll be put to death.
Lives will be lost because of your union.
At number 4, we have A Discovery of Witches, and if you're into fantasy with a mix of romance, mystery, and historical drama, this one is right up your alley. Based on Deborah Harkness's All Souls trilogy, it's a beautifully crafted series that blends magic with elegance and intrigue. The story follows Diana Bishop, a brilliant historian who just so happens to be a reluctant witch. While researching in Oxford's Bodleian Library, she stumbles upon a powerful manuscript that the entire supernatural world has been chasing. That discovery pulls her straight into a hidden world of witches, vampires, and demons, all desperate to claim its secrets. One of the highlights for me is her partnership with Matthew Claremont, a centuries-old vampire and geneticist. Their forbidden romance breaks ancient laws, sparking a connection that's just as dangerous as it is compelling. Together, they face threats that stretch across continents and centuries, making the story feel both sweeping and deeply personal. With stunning visuals, captivating performances, and a more mature tone than most supernatural dramas, A Discovery of Witches really stands out. If you ever wish Twilight had a smarter, more grown-up edge, this series feels like the perfect upgrade. Number 3. His Dark Materials 2019.
The fate of more than this world depends on.
Coming in at number 3, we've got His Dark Materials, an ambitious fantasy series that really swings for the fences. Based on Philip Pullman's legendary trilogy, this show takes us on a journey through parallel worlds, cosmic mysteries, and the eternal struggle between free will and authority. At the center of it all is Lyra Belacqua, a fearless orphan raised among scholars in a world where every person's soul takes the form of a demon, a talking animal companion that's literally a part of themselves. When her best friend is kidnapped, Lyra is pulled into a dangerous adventure that unravels secrets powerful enough to shake the very foundations of the universe. One of the most fascinating ideas in the series is dust, a mysterious substance tied to consciousness, destiny, and the nature of existence itself. With a powerhouse cast including Daphne Keane, Ruth Wilson, and James McAvoy, His Dark Materials delivers breathtaking visuals, rich philosophy, and genuine emotional depth. It's not just prestige fantasy, it's a story that makes you think while still keeping you hooked every step of the way. Number 2. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, 2015.
Did you give me back my wife? Go in. Before he destroys us.
At number 2, we have Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, a beautifully crafted gem from 2015, streaming now on Prime. This series reimagines 19th century England as a place where magic once thrived, but has faded into dusty legend and scholarly debate. That is, until two very different magicians step into the spotlight. Mr. Norrell is a reclusive scholar who hoards magical knowledge, determined to make magic respectable and controlled. Jonathan Strange, meanwhile, is his opposite, bold, charismatic, and brimming with raw, unpredictable talent. At first, they work together to restore England's magical heritage, but as dark forces awaken, their uneasy alliance begins to fracture. What makes this 7-part miniseries so remarkable is the way it blends history, gothic atmosphere, and fantasy into something truly unique. It's witty, unsettling, and gorgeously atmospheric, almost like Pride and Prejudice colliding with Pan's Labyrinth, against the backdrop of war and madness. Though it only ran for one season, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell delivers a complete, hauntingly unforgettable story. A true masterpiece that never got the recognition it deserved. Number 1. Kingdom 2019. Taking the crown at number 1, we have Kingdom, streaming on Netflix. And trust me, forget everything you think you know about zombie shows because this one completely rewrites the rules. Set in Korea's Joseon dynasty, Kingdom blends the elegance of historical drama with the sheer terror of a zombie apocalypse. When Crown Prince Lee Chang begins investigating his father's mysterious illness, he stumbles onto a horrifying truth. The dead are rising, and the plague is spreading faster than any sword can strike. What follows is a relentless fight for survival, not just against hordes of the undead, but against ruthless nobles in a kingdom on the brink of collapse. What makes Kingdom extraordinary is how it fuses heart-pounding horror with razor-sharp political intrigue and jaw-dropping visuals. From the grandeur of palaces to villages drowning in chaos, every frame looks cinematic. And across 2 gripping seasons, plus the chilling special Ashin of the North, the series never lets up on the tension, action, or emotional stakes. It's Game of Thrones colliding with Train to Busan, and honestly, once you start Kingdom, you won't sleep until you've devoured every last episode. These shows prove that fantasy isn't just about dragons and swords. It's about dark, thrilling, unforgettable worlds that stay with you long after the credits roll. If your next binge just made this list, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss our latest hidden gems and can't miss series. And hey, maybe Yale can wait, because if these worlds exist, I know where I'm enrolling. Got a fantasy show you think deserves the spotlight? Drop it in the comments. We're always conjuring up the next great watch. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.